What is up, everybody? It does feel good to be back to streaming, to doing videos. I've been buried in a warehouse for the last few months, but it does feel good to be back. It really does. But thank you, of course, for the continued support. Everything ISOM won. We had a very successful campaign with us finally ending with the fulfillment process for ISOM 1, and now we're taking care of orders, or about to start taking care of orders that were after the campaign. Of course, and beyond, we got a lot of work to do still. Operation Expand is underway, but it does feel good to start talking about some other stuff that I know people want my thoughts on. Look, you can call it House of Cards, call it whatever you want, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with the industry, okay? Now, before I go in, let's just kind of recap. First, we want to talk about this obvious thing. You don't change the CEO unless something is something crazy is happening. Even with the Hollywood Reporter, you can see in their title with Bob Iger returning as CEO of Disney, Bob Chapek being out. Okay, now you can make the argument certainly that it was a setup the entire time, and Bob Iger was kind of, well, not Iger, Chapek was kind of meant to be the fall guy for the inevitable. Now, a lot of people are under this kind of impression that just because something exists, does stuff that's big budget, and is a recognizable thing, they can basically do no wrong in terms of making money. And I've seen people, definitely a lot of the detractors, I'm not even speaking directly about the Riververse. You see that there's a lot of folks that support these mega corporation or mega corporate entities in entertainment, and these studios and whatnot, not because they actually like it, but because it's out of spite. They look at the fact that someone like myself or other people that maybe doesn't think exactly like them ideologically, or when it comes to social, political views, whatever it is, and we may speak against what they're doing, or may take issue with something that this company is doing with the brand that they've inherited, and they'll go support that because they look at it like, well, this company is, one, perpetuating their own ideas, or two, does things out of spite to their enemy. So they end up supporting it out of spite, not because they actually like it. And in some of these weirdos, I've seen some of these comments where they sit up here and act like they can do no wrong. I had a guy the other day on Twitter, if you follow me there, talking about, well, Disney's going to be fine. Disney's fine. Ha, ha, ha. You'll never get to what they are at. And I'm like, it's kind of a dumb expectation. But nonetheless, Disney is not doing as well as you like to think it is. Now, there is some context that we have to give here. Disney, like other mega corporations, has the luxury of subsidizing their projects through other mediums. So where they may be in complete failure in one aspect, of course, you can subsidize future projects, or at least cover up the stank, let's say that, with other things that you're doing. Disney has the parks, the theme parks, they have merchandise, they have other things, departments that they can bring money in with. That doesn't change the fact of the reality of what's happening. And this is very significant considering how much they invested in this. This kind of went under the radar about a week or so ago. What Disney is, they are currently at a hiring freeze. They are about to start laying people off. Now, this was sent by Chapek himself, and now we know that Chapek is out. Doesn't make any of what he was saying mean that it's going to stop being the case. Now, this came because there were what they deem as disappointing results. There was a memo. You can read this whole entire thing that they sent, or Chapek himself sent to Disney leaders, where he's talking about that they're trying to be more efficient and trying to make Disney Plus more profitable going into not this next year, the year after. So they probably foresee more losses. And they say that, look, man, there's some things that we got to look into to, of course, become more efficient and nimble. They say that there's going to be they are about to basically start with layoffs, right? You have the hiring freeze. right now, but they are going to start with layoffs and all that other stuff. Now, what happened to influence this is that let me find it. Obviously, you see right here, 52-week low. Now, they lost on the upward of, I can't remember if they actually, it's in this article right here. Disney streaming services lost $1.47 billion last quarter. That's on Disney Plus alone. Now, this is significant because they thought Disney Plus, they went all in on this project. And it's simply not working out. These shows that you guys like to pretend that they like clearly isn't bringing in the money to keep these guys afloat, be it by way of their monetization plans with Disney Plus, whatever it is. Even if you like, oh, I like this, or this is actually okay, this isn't too bad, doesn't matter. It ain't bringing money. $1.5 billion is a significant loss. And they think that, as McCarthy says here, that the losses will improve in 2023, but that doesn't mean they won't still be losing. And they're hoping that it's profitable by 2024, but it doesn't even sound like, and it says by the end of 2024, so it doesn't even sound like they've already given up on next year, that they're not going to make no money off of that. That's significant because this isn't just some small investment, $1 billion. I know it's a $1 billion corporate entity, but nobody's in the business just losing that much money. Okay. Now, when I talk about, I guess, the house of cards or whatever it is that I'm referring to, you got to take this into consideration. There's layoffs happening all across the board with a lot of tech companies. But if you look deep into what kind of jobs are being lost, you see some of the first to go are a lot of the fake jobs. Now, you may have saw my post about this, and I want you to listen. I do believe that it's in your best interest, if you have any sort of sense, to get a skill that is useful to a company. That does not mean that your skill has to be something that is what some people deem as a necessity per se. I'm saying what makes you useful to the company, meaning that it has an actual demand. I'm not saying go become a plumber or electrician overnight, which that you certainly be said if you did. But I'm saying get a skill that's actually useful. Corporate America, as you saw, ramped up over the last about 4 years. A lot of just fake jobs. I think that it was because they were convinced some people was going to take the easy route out and blame like ESG and other stuff. No. Simple as this. If you look at what's coming out of college, you see where a lot of these weirdos are at. It makes all the sense in the world. They got fed bad advice, actually committing themselves to a cause and a demographic that doesn't actually exist, or the ones that do exist don't actually have enough capital to carry the company. Simple as that. It's not that difficult. And they've been convinced. If you see some of these people that work for these companies, it makes all the sense in the world. These people are actually convinced or were convinced that this was the move to make. People that otherwise may be irrational people were convinced otherwise. But those jobs, a lot of it came out of diversity, some just fake made up stuff. Those are the first ones to go. Right? You're not a necessity. You were someone it was a fake job. When I say fake job, that's what I mean. One that doesn't have an actual demand. Not a job that you don't like, or a job that you might not be into in terms of it's not your something, an industry that you're interested in or something. That's irrelevant. Whether you like it or not doesn't mean that it's fake or not. When I say fake job, I am specifically referring to jobs that don't have an actual market demand. Like there's no actual demand for a lot of these diversity. What was that school that we went through? I can't remember. There was an old video that I did on a segment, and it was like some school, and we went through the actual departments, and it was like diversity. It was just fake job at the fake job. These guys are getting on the upward of like $200,000. Some of these cats a year getting broke. Those jobs are the first to go as people start to care about their bottom line, because you can get away with a couple of L's. But that stuff starts to extend itself multiple quarters, multiple years. Then the people that actually got skin in the game start being like, all right, we got to pivot on this. This ain't working. Now, some folk may go down with the ship, but there are going to be ones that steer, and even the ones that go down with the ship, they're ultimately gonna be cutting those first jobs. They're gonna cut are those folk that filled those fake jobs. Look, even if you hate me, a lot of y'all that probably work for these companies don't like me. Do yourself a favor. Not me. Do yourself a favor. Go get a skill set and be able to market it that is actually useful and in demand. That job that you got, they got some fake title, ain't nobody actually interested in. No, there's no demand for. You're not doing anything but causing problems by filling that whatever you call it, fake job. Hey man, y'all gonna be the first to go. You're gonna be looking very, very silly, but you might get 3 months severance. Who knows?